everybody. Welcome back to Old Reader, New Reader. We have the OG crew tonight. How's everybody doing?
Okay. I'm not wonderful, but I'm okay. Thank you.
It's March.
That is right. So I should be wonderful, but it's not. It's not really wonderful. It's just okay.
Well, and you don't have to be wonderful.
That's right. I'm here with my friends. And
it's your birthday. You can cry if you want to.
Cold ass beer.
What is that?
Is it actually cold though?
It's actually pretty good. It's actually cold. And I'm here to talk about X-Men. Does life get better than this? Absolutely. But not right now. Not right now. So it's all good. Yeah. How's everybody doing? And smash that like. But thank you so much, Richard, for
March.
Maddie already getting some love. Great to see this exciting panel. Thank you.
Hey.
Are we getting drunk?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I got a show tomorrow, and then I got a party on the weekend. So,
oh yeah,
you never know. Depending on how much they hate the story. Y'all remember the Dark Phoenix saga?
And what else did we not like? What was
there's a lot that you two don't like, but that's okay.
There's a lot of older X-Men. I'm fine with this one. So
yeah,
I'm fine with this one. I'm fine with this one.
Yes.
All right, little history behind this. This has been collected in epic format, in omnibus format. It is coming out again in omnibus format, and it's called X-Men Blue and Gold. This is the formation of the X-Men Blue and Gold team. #1 best-selling comic book of all time, X-Men #1. Outselling Spider-Man, outselling X-Force. It is, to this day, record-breaking the best-selling comic book of all time. It was when Marvel decided.
Is it because they had so many variant covers?
They were they didn't do variant covers at the time.
Well, I thought this was like one of the start to that, though.
Well, like X-Force had variant polybag with trading cards, and it probably had something to do with that. Spider-Man had a couple of variant covers, but this was 4 covers and then a deluxe edition.
Oh.
It's crazy how much it sold. Now, did anybody that bought them and got all 4 covers and the deluxe edition get rich? Absolutely not. We did not. There was a reason why these books were over ordered. I did start going to shows nowadays, and I started noticing like these are no longer in the quarter band. Like people are asking like $5, $7, depending on the new. I'm like, where did all this happen? I get into collected editions, and what is this? But anyway, yeah, Chris Claremont. This is his last hurrah. Since 1976, has been writing X-Men nonstop. This was his baby. And unfortunately, he learned the hard way. These characters do not belong to you. You're fired. So they fired Chris Claremont off the book. He writes the first 3 issues. Jim Lee, the Golden Son, if you will, it kind of became his thing. And then he was like, you know what, Marvel, deuces, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Image and make my own comics.
That's right.
And that happened a few issues after this. So this is the first 7 issues of the new adjectiveless X-Men, as we like to call it. It's a spin-off. A lot of things have happened already in Uncanny X-Men. There was big crossovers and big events. But this is kind of like, hey, we're back to the basics. Professor Xavier's back from space. We got the teams back together. We got characters back together that we haven't seen for a while. What are we going to do with 14 X-Men was the famous line in X Factor number 70, which is the Muir Island Saga epilogue. And Professor X is like, I got an idea. And yeah, this is it. This is the beginning of this era. And this is the Jim Lee costumes that they actually ended up using for the cartoons, like the designs. This, a lot of people, this is Cyclops, this is Jean Grey, this is the way that Beast looks. Like it, like this is it. It got no better than this to a lot of people. So yeah, I think I've said enough. That kind of sets up everything here. And as we talk about the story, I'll fill in some holes. By the way, I do want to show my screen really quick here because I had these ladies choose. We could either read the classic style, very classy, right? Like this is the way I read it with Joe Rose's wonderful artwork. But there was a version 2.0 that came out later with the new colors, like remodern, like these are modern colors. Some people loved it. I actually dug this. Some people didn't. So I gave him the option. You can read it the old school way, which is the way I read it because that's the way it's in the omnibus. And then, or you can read it this way with the new colors. So
yeah, I didn't happen that. So I read like
half of it.
yeah,
Okay.
first like 4 issues I read in the old color or the old
Yeah.
new coloring for the rest of it. So I kind of just balanced it.
I
As a
just
matter
read
of
it
fact-
all new, and I just looked at the old one.
So Richard's right. The only way to get the new colors is in that Mutant Genesis 2.0 hardcover. Every other collection of this has had the old school colors. And that, a lot of us like it that way. I'm fine either way. I kind of like the new
Yeah.
colors too, to see what they've changed. Ooh, Magneto's eyes are glowing because he's using his magnetic powers. But regardless, who wants to give us the premise? And I'll try not to chime in every 5 seconds.
Okay, you might have to carry some of this because
I got you.
I don't know a lot of the background. I know some of this is like I looked up some stuff afterwards, which did make me feel better because I was like, there's obviously things I don't know, and then they were like, oh, this is new, and I'm like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, even the coloring has a Valiant. How are you, Ron? This is my buddy Ron, who works at Alien Comics.
Hello, Ron.
Valiant Comics. So, good guy, good friend of the channel. Good luck, Omar. Yeah, fingers crossed, Richard. Here we go, baby. Here we go.
I think you'll be happy. I think you'll be happy.
So.
Who's the new reader? Actually, both of these ladies are the new readers. Yeah.
Yes.
I am old, not because of age, just because I've read this. I don't know how many times I've read this. I'll be honest with you.
Probably a lot.
So this one kind of like starts out with a focus on Magneto.
Yes.
So right now they're calling it the M asteroid, right? Like he's
Asteroid
on like
M?
a floating asteroid, like he's on a floating thing above Earth.
You guys are so cute.
He's kind of that's why I'm like, you're gonna have to help because I don't have any background, right? So he's up above, he's kind of just keeping to himself. But we have some mutants trying to get to him because they're like, hey, we believe in your cause, we want you to help us out. And then we have people on ground that are like, we have to like deal with the Magneto protocol. We've got to get rid of this because like this is a danger. Because he's just up there.
Really quick. Ariella, thank you so much for asking. Matt My Ex was supposed to be yesterday, but we had to postpone. One of our panelists got sick. So we'll be back in April. I'll announce it when exactly that will be. And it's Matt My Ex Magneto, by the way, which I cannot wait to do. We've already been arguing over how many omnis there are. One of us has it at 4. One of us has it at 2. One of us is mad and just wants to do one omnibus all said and done. So it will be postponed until April. I'm so sorry. I forgot to make a note of that, but yeah, that's what happened. Somebody got sick. So
Okay.
Take it away, Maddie.
Okay, Magneto's on the asteroid.
Asteroid M, yeah.
Some mutants show up because they're fighting up there. Okay, I'm gonna sound really dumb while I'm describing the beginning part of this, and that's just my bad, guys.
There's a lot happening in the beginning. A lot of different characters.
A lot of comic books, I promise.
Yes.
But yeah, they're fighting. He's like, I don't want to help you out. Like, I'm done. Like I'm not this guy anymore. And if you guys are gonna fight in here, you're gonna have to like chill out. This is my place. This is my area. Everything is calm and chill here. I'm not about this. But things get more heated.
More heated. Okay.
And you can talk about it for a little bit now.
All right. So pretty much what's going on is Magneto has been MIA since Super Sexy Savage Land adventure with Rogue. That's where the Rogue and Magneto relationship started, right? And that only happened for like 2 issues. That she was all over him because Magneto's one of the few people that can touch her. Like because of his power.
I mean, did you see Magneto in this one?
Did you see his chest in that cover though?
I know. Did you see his chest? Did you also see
anyway,
focus later on? Because good lord.
Okay. All right. New colors or old colors? Anyway, so he has been hanging out, moping around. He's up in space. He's in his Asteroid M. Asteroid M is his established home base, right? It's been there. It was destroyed and he rebuilds it because if you control metal, you can rebuild anything. You can rebuild your home. Yeah. So Magnus is up there chilling, and what happens is that a group of mutants have hijacked the spaceship, and then that's why S.H.I.E.L.D. gets involved from, I think it's the Soviet Union.
Okay, S.H.I.E.L.D. was the other group. That I couldn't remember.
Oh, yes, I got you.
It was humans. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because this is also the era when they started calling them flat scans. Like as like how you all used to call people that didn't read Harry Potter muggles? Flat scans was like their insult. Like
us?
Yeah.
I thought both of you read. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's like a put down, and I never heard it
Yeah.
until this issue, and I'm like, flat scans, and I'm glad that even Magneto was like flat scans, so they explain why. But anyway,
He's
so
like,
it's like
y'all are just making up anything now.
they do, man. That's what the youth does, man. They make up words. And
Yes,
Magneto's has lost his eye. I'm like, skibbity toilet humans.
Oh, gross! What is happening?
I'm giving you some context. Anyway,
Giving you erase.
Magneto is up there. These 4 mutants come up. They start killing humans, and he's like, I ain't taking any more, man. I've been down that road. I'm just chilling. And they're like, man, but you need us, Magneto. We need you back on Earth. And he's like, what the hell's going on Earth, man? I left that a long time ago. So I'm going to show you now the pages. This is the X-Men. They're all back together. You got Banshee and Forge working the Danger Room. Now, I want to show the difference here in the... This is the way it was originally published.
Yeah, that is not the version
And look at that. Just look what the colors are adding.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's really high tech.
Yeah,
Wow.
that look. Yeah, it does make the Danger Room look way more.
Like this is the way I remember it, and it is left to my imagination how badass the Danger Room is. I love it. This over here is like, I ain't got no imagination. I need people to tell me exactly what is happening. What makes they added a tree in the background for no reason. But anyway,
I like both. To be
Yeah,
honest.
they're both have their different.
You never know. You never know where this is gonna go, Arya. You never know. Jim Lee, by the way, at the top of his game. I'm gonna show some artwork here in a little bit that I'm like, there's a reason why he is a god amongst men. Like to a lot of us, right? Not everybody. I've met several people that do not like Jim Lee's artwork. They're like, Jim Lee, bleh. And it always like I'm taken back by that comment. I'm like, really? Like, even if you don't like him, you have to sort of
his art's great. I mean, I'll always laugh because it's early 90s, and so whenever a woman's doing like any attack, they're doing what I have like I teach people to do for their cosplaying, like the break your back pose, which is not a natural like, but that's just the 90s. And it's fun. And to be fair, they gave Gambit some good shots later on.
Oh, in the basketball scenes, like yeah,
that was for the ladies.
That was that's for all the Gambit fans there.
Hey, Gambit was my favorite X-Men '97, and I should not be surprised he was my favorite in this too. So.
I do. I will. I want to come back to the dialogue though, because I'm curious if both of you, what you both thought of the dialogue during this time. The new colors are collected only in the Mutant Genesis 2.0, which is out of print, and the prices are ridiculous. Somehow, somewhere, maybe they'll reprint it. Matt My X will be back in April. Had to postpone. All right. Maddie, okay, so the X-Men are training. What's the sequence? What's Professor X got them doing here?
They're all kind of like fighting each other at this moment. With also some like robots. So they're all like challenging one another. You've got like kind of 2 teams. Where you almost like the part of the crew versus more of like your telepathic people minus like Psylocke, right? Or like going against one another and trying things. It's really cool the way it's put together, especially because they've also have some like bots in there as well. So like once you think, Gambit shows up to go against Jean, but actually it's a robot and he gets his ass kicked. And they think they've won against them. And then Wolverine comes up from under the floor.
That's Gambit trying to sneak a kiss in, man.
Well, I didn't like that
later too, and I was like,
"Yo, Gambit's smooth with the ladies, except he couldn't tell it was a robot."
I mean, it's okay. He switched once he gets to Rogue, he commits, so it's fine.
Does he though? Because he has a wife, but we'll talk about that at another time.
It's not a Christmas sweater; it's got hearts on it.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Dude, I love the joke that Cyclops makes about like, redheads have a dynamite kiss. And she's like, those eyes, that grin, that body kind of takes the girl's breath away when she's talking about Gambit. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, remind me to drop a truck on him. That's like, listen, I need you two to quit flirting and focus, please.
I love it.
Scott, you're just never going to have game like that. But Jean likes it, so it's fine. You're safe.
Scott's a badass when he wants to be.
It is. Are you just there for a reason?
I pushed the wrong button. Go ahead.
That's true. You know, always, but he had to sneak it in there. I mean, I love the way the training ended though, because I love how the way that like Cyclops comes, or not Cyclops, the Wolverine comes up out of the bottom.
Oh,
like
God,
I can
yeah.
smell you guys. You think I'm gonna fall for that shit? It gets like his claws is close. Love that whole moment.
I thought that was really badass. You know, and it's Wolverine just being Wolverine and Cyclops being Cyclops, and then he's reminded why they don't get along. Like even in the next page when he's like Wolverine's just kind of walking away doing his own thing, and he's like, "Oh man, I guess some things will never change." And Jean has the smile on her, like, "Oh, that's a fact." Jean playing every dude. All right. So that's the setup. That tells you like who the X-Men are. You're introduced to their powers, and Magneto's dealing with his own mutants up there in Asteroid M. And then they move the party down here to the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
Now, this goes back to a storyline from X-Men 150 when Magneto sank a submarine and killed all the people there. And it's kind of like this is paying for his sins of the past in this issue right here. Because so what he's trying to do is bring the submarine out, which I thought it was a weird thing to do, even for Chris Claremont, because he's just kind of wrapping up his stories. But very freaking amazing imagery. Like, nonetheless, when he's just bringing that submarine from out of the water, it's like, holy crap, that thing is that's just so badass. Whether it's this or the new colors, like it's just really cool to see Magneto using his powers like that. Now the new colors add like a more dramatic effect, I think. Like they look like
really
this,
does. The shadows and the
and I love these lines from here as well, because you have this moment where like Fabian Cortez is, I guess, sort of like manipulating. He starts manipulation of Magneto in this moment. And I like the way I always love looking at Magneto and like just as like from an international relations background, talking about like, you know, the nukes and stuff, because he talks about before like I tried to stop all these countries from doing this, right? But now he's like, well, this is what I have to do. If I have to hold the power in my hands as like a like kill switch deal.
Yeah.
In order to have peace, then that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what's gonna happen. And I thought that was beautifully written during this part. Like I guess it's the same screen that you show at the same time he's bringing up the submarine, just like how that's broken down. Like in the when he's talking to Rogue, he says, "I sunk Leningrad as an act of self-defense, and I resurrected for the same reason."
Yeah.
And Rogue is like, "Well, we don't threaten you. Nobody does." And he's like, "And now, child, nobody will." And I love that whole part there, like the whole start to this, because it really just explains him as a person so much.
Yeah. And then he's there, right? And he's like, whoa. Like, okay, I got to share this because of what you were saying earlier about the poses of the ladies. But oh my gosh, yes, when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I wish I could draw this well. But he's literally like, yo, what's up, man? Why are you attacking me? Didn't I say I'm here? I come here in peace. I'm here to, like, you know, unarm these nuclear weapons. And the X-Men are just going at him hard.
And that's it's one of those things of being unaware of things, right? Because he doesn't realize that the things he's doing can be seen as acts of aggression. He's like, I'm not doing it, I'm just holding this. And you're like, okay, but you can't be doing that though. Actually, right. Like you shouldn't be doing that. And he's like, I'm just having it here just in case. And like, you don't see why we would be uncomfortable with that. Like, we can't just let you have this.
One interesting thing about reading these stories with new colors, like colors in, somebody was asking about the Thor by Walter Simonson omnibus. That was a decision made earlier on in the omnibus game. They wanted to modernize the colors in the Walter Simonson Thor. That was really subtle, though. It wasn't like the Swamp Thing colors in the Absolute editions. But I remember scenes, I mean, embedded in my head like this, like forever.
Yeah.
that will live rent free in my head. But then when I read them in the new version, when I was rereading this in the 2.0, I was like, whoa, that was at nighttime? Like that changes like the way I read that comic, like the way it exists in my head rent free, and now it's like, whoa, that's so different.
It's cool. And honestly, this comes at a perfect time because this is related but not related. The Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster just came out last week. This is my favorite game of all time.
Suikoden, yeah. Oh, what did they do? What did they take away from you?
No, it's great. Like just everything is enhanced. At least for Suikoden 2 so far. Like, you know, there's a burning of a camp at the beginning of the game, and the flames are so much more alive. The way that there's more air, the way that everything's added in just enhances that scene. And I love the original so much, but I also love this. Like, there's a place for both, and it's like so cool to have it just the extra pieces filled in of what it would look like now. And it's just neat as a fan to have both.
I have it.
Hell yeah, James. Hell yeah.
I have it. I just haven't had a chance to open it up.
Well, man, we'll talk about it later. But I got the hour and a half live stream last week was insane.
Okay, so in here, miscommunication, and now Magneto has introduced his. By the way, I love the fastball special, either Colossus or anybody that throws Wolverine. But Magneto has introduced his acolytes. Now these are kind of like his worshipers, and at the very end of the book is when you find out that perhaps it's not the X-Men that are at fault. Perhaps it's not humanity that is at fault, but it's Moira McTaggart. Now, this goes back to a storyline in the classic Defenders era. And again, just showcasing what the two differences are. This is the way, you know, that the original colors look. And then, of course, the new colors here. Where was there's the new colors. Okay. That's the way the new colors looks. But she's like, it's all my fault, Banshee. And Banshee's like, whoa, what are you talking about? What are we talking about? Because I'm curious what you two think, what they're talking about.
So
that's a great question. Are we talking about with Moira?
Yeah, about when Magneto was turned into a kid,
a baby.
Yeah,
and raised by Moira, and then she affected his genes, like help save her kid. And you know what? Props to them for explaining that in a way that wasn't like that suited the story. Like, because I didn't read that, obviously.
Yes.
But they were like, hey, here's the deal, but not in a way that's too heavy-handed, but in a way that like you get the gist. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. You just needed just enough to understand why he would come after Moira in the first place.
Well,
it felt silly. I know. He's like, remember when I was a baby?
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. What?
It's so crazy to think about. When I was reading these stories for the first time as they were coming out, I didn't have the accessibility to, you know, there were no collected editions, especially of that obscure title, The Defenders. So I had to like go to conventions and try to find these issues. I swear I bought my single issues, back issues based on what the editors note were like, as seen in issue blah blah blah, or remember issue blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god! So I had a list, and that's why nowadays it's like you can, you know, you have a YouTube channel where they can tell you where you can find specific stories. So this is collected in the Defenders Epic Collection Volume 1 or the Defenders Omnibus Volume 1, by the way. But yeah, there was this mutant alpha that Magneto himself created, turned him into a baby. And that's kind of how they did away with him in that era when there was no ongoing X-Men series. So when they brought him back in issue 104 after Giant Size X-Men relaunched, it was explained that Moira McTaggart had him. And keep in mind, that's also around the time she was introduced as a retcon character. Like, Charles, I've always been a part of your life. And he's like, oh, Moira, we had a thing going, but I was busy here in America forming the X-Men.
But it's okay. Sean and her are good.
Charles Sean and her are good. Up until Inferno, the new Inferno series with Jonathan Hickman. And oh my God, the things that she does. Woo! There's no coming back from that. Okay. But during this time, she's a human. And she is Yeah, she's the one that is saying that she is at fault, that it is her fault that Magneto is kind of crazy because she was trying to manipulate the Codex because she had a son. She talks about it here, but that's Proteus. That happens right before the Dark Phoenix saga, where Proteus is a reality bending type of character. It's one of the few characters that Wolverine was afraid to fight and got defeated by Metal. But so her son died. And she was trying to save her son when Magneto was there and trying to see about, can you really change somebody's ways? And he snaps like when he finds out, right? And he finds out because Fabian Cortez has been using his power to heal him and has found all these things
quote unquote
about him.
Yeah.
Which is also great because there's
I'm
this whole
still figuring
moment.
out what Fabian Cortez.
Okay, so his stuff, I had to look it up. So Fabian Cortez,
I gotta show my boy Forge right here, by the way. I love Forge. He's one of my favorite X-Men. I don't think he's ever looked as badass. Whether
shout out to the 90s for having so many.
Look at all those guns and badass jackets, metal leg and his metal arm. He's got the Native American boot because he's keeping it real. That's what we did back then. We kept it real. All right. Anyway, go ahead. What did you find out about Fabian?
So Fabian is able to manipulate it's just like a lot of power amplification, nullification. So that's why when he touches Psylocke, he's able to make it like so extreme that she overhears.
Yeah, power. That was cool.
Yeah. And same with he also does like energy absorption. He can heal people as well. But like in this one, he's like, "Oh, I'm healing you," but really he's not exactly doing that with Magneto. He's just like making them think that. So he's just messing with everybody's stuff right then, which makes him great at manipulating everyone. But yeah, and also like dampening as well.
Forge is a goddamn maker. Ryan, do not get me started tonight. He's one of the greatest X-Men characters ever. I love
the one where he's talking to Moira, and he's like, I can't believe you made that decision for me. You try to do this for me, you can't just decide how I'm going to be. I'm me. And then within the same story, he is orchestrating other mutants to be manipulated and forced to do things. So,
right. Because, he thinks he's doing the right thing, right? Why follow Charles Street?
He's such a hypocrite. So good.
A little bit, right? He's the hero of his own story.
Yes, he does.
And again, I do love the fact that whenever I said that House and Powers of X, House of X 2, the Moira McTaggart issue, that is one of the best retcons of all time to me. That's up there with Parallax to me, because when you go back and read stories like this, there is this kind of fucked up side to Moira that you're like, she wasn't a goody-goody. There was always something there about her that, for science, sure, whatever. But yeah, he snaps and he gets the team. How does he get the team to join him, Amanda? How does he get the X-Men Blue team?
I thought it was manipulation. I thought they used that psychic manipulation to turn them against Charles, and they're like, "We're gonna join instead."
Yeah, so Professor X is like, "What?"
Yeah. I was a little confused about how that went down.
Oh yeah, we forgot about Matsuo over there in Russia too.
Yeah,
that's gonna play a part later on.
That's right.
I was confused when I first saw that.
That's foreshadowing, baby.
I was like, it's foreshadowing. We're gonna see.
Oh my God, there were things Chris Claremont would foreshadow that did not get resolved for 5-7 years, not issues, years. As a kid, I'm like, what's gonna happen? What happened?
I need them to resolve why Matsuo was like, I want the Wolverine haircut. Matsuo was like, I'm gonna beat this guy, but also I want his haircut too.
Matsuo? He was the guy that helped change Psylocke, Betsy Braddock, into this ninja assassin. During the Acts of Vengeance.
It's weird when they call Psylocke Betsy because I forget that's her name.
Well, because nowadays there's 2 Psylocks, right? Or I'm sorry. Oh God. There was the retcon that Quanon. So you have Quanon and you have Betsy Braddock. And the retcon, which I still hate the retcon, is Fabian Nicieza, but it was the editors that were like, we'll introduce an Asian girl named Quanon. And what happened was that Betsy Braddock's brain went into her body, and her brain went into Betsy Braddock's body. So Betsy Braddock, when she comes back, she has Asian girl Quanon's mind, but she's dying of the legacy virus. Oh my God. And then when you're like, okay, legacy virus takes its toll and she's dead, you're like, whoo, dodge that bullet. And then Matt Fraction brings her back, and I'm like, God damn it.
Wow, that's a lot.
So that's why there's 2 Psylocks now. I think one's Psylocke and one's Captain Britain. But yeah, the X-Men or X-Men Blue decide to join Magneto.
Blue, yeah,
which
Gold
leads into a big fight between the X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold. So these are the issues that establish the Blue and Gold team. They don't really call them that yet. Like Professor X kind of hints at it. He's like, hey, why don't you take your Blue team up to space, and we'll let the Gold team, stay and chill with me. Because the Gold team right now, because Uncanny is Gold and X-Men is adjectiveless, the Gold team is dealing with this character named Bishop, who has come from the future and trying to set things right. But all these issues take place before that. But they're coming out at the same time. So if you're reading this in chronological order and publishing order, you're reading about Bishop, and you're like, oh my God, Bishop, and you got Omega Red over here with the X-Men, and they're fighting each other. Anyway, that was me at that age. So taking us to X-Men number 3, which is an homage to like X-Men 100 when the X-Men teams fought each other.
Yeah, this part was really, it was fun. Like, I liked Scott going in at Jean, because he shows up, kisses her, and then like, tell me, Red, is my kiss as much fun as Wolverine's? And then he blasted her.
I was like, dang.
So good.
Look at that, man. Not holding back. Why have the X-Men betrayed us? And we have the Acolytes, right? Like the Acolytes that are helping out Magneto too.
Oh, then we have some quality dialogue throughout here. Like Beast showing up, like, if I may be so bold, that's hardly the way to influence people, much less make friends.
Yo, I still to this day have to have a thesaurus near me to read some of that dialogue. Chris Claremont won an Eagle Award for, I think it was this issue or the previous issue. I can't remember. He was winning all kinds of awards. He was teaching me words I didn't even know existed. I was like, what is he talking about? Oh, yeah. This is the scene you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, my favorite line of his was earlier when he goes, oh, my stars and my garter. I was like, that's a weird thing for Beast to say, but sure.
That's what he's known for saying. Oh, my stars and garters. That's his.
There we go. Yeah,
that's like, dude, Claremont. Anybody else? Claremont making you use that dictionary, right? Like I had a thesaurus and a dictionary near me. I'm like, what word did he mean by that? Love it.
Eventually everyone gets sort of like out of it, and they're back. And they're like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, eventually.
And then Cyclops is so cute. Good, mister. You don't know the meaning of the word.
Dude, that's such a Claremontism too. I love it. I love that. Okay. So Magneto immediately finds out that, oh wait, I've been getting played by this guy named Fabian Cortez. How did I let that happen? Fabian, like they have like the was it the Soviet Union had this big laser pointed at Asteroid M that we're going to use unless the X-Men helped. Yeah, that was crazy. And then Fabian Cortez fires that cannon and it blows up Asteroid M. And oh man, what about that beautiful moment? Professor X and Magneto are like, no, we can't leave him. And he's like, Charles, you gotta go. And Professor X is like, I love you.
Like, I hope for your sake that it goes the way you want, but I just see war in your future. And then
dude, so
it was good.
It was beautiful.
It was very good dialogue back and forth. I mean, it's like it's not new. It's typical between the two of these, right? Yeah, but it's not. It's still good. It's still good. I still like reading that every time it happens. Like the way that they talk to one another. We're like, listen, you have hope, but I've lived too much. I can't be there with you. Like,
it's the romance I'll never get over is Magneto.
I lived the Holocaust. You worry about the Holocaust happening to our people. I was there. Like, man, that's some powerful stuff. Some powerful stuff. God, I love this. And that is the last issue that Chris Claremont wrote until he came back. He was fired off the book, and it broke his heart. I mean, it broke his heart for a long time.
Which is wild.
It is
wild. Because Jim Lee wanted to go a certain way. The editors were like, hey, that's the guy. We got to put our eggs in one basket is going to be Jim Lee. And it became Jim Lee's X-Men until Jim Lee was like, hey, I'm going to go write this story called Wildcats. So yeah, the series ends. Some people left with Claremont. A lot of us stayed. I was like, well, let's see this out. Let's see what happens. It broke our hearts, though. That's for sure. Whoever was reading this, no matter who comes in, they've got a hard job. And who came in was really interesting because immediately after Claremont leaving, they got John Byrne to come in and write the script. You had Jim Lee plotting the story, which is something he always wanted to do with X-Men. And then you have John Byrne, who is no stranger to writing dialogue and also X-Men. He came in and plotted those issues or wrote the script for those issues. I think he stayed for like 2 issues. So the next one is X-Men number 4, the first appearance of Omega Red. This is a rare case where I think it's Art Thibert inking Jim Lee, or it might be Jim Lee inking himself. Usually it's Scott Williams inking Jim Lee. But again, you have the classic colors, and then in the 2.0, the new colors, like glowing eyes Gambit, and oh my god, everything's glowing in the background. But yeah, that's the way it looks.
On fire.
So this is what the setup was for that we saw in issue numbers 2 and 3. We see Matsuo, we see Soviet soldiers, and we see them bring out, like this. It looks like a casket, if you will, and
or pod.
That's where we get butt naked Omega Red coming out.
He kills a bunch of people in order to
kills some members of the Hand. This is another issue that I remember when I was a kid. I'm like, yo, the Hand. I thought the Hands were like ninja. The Hand in here were like high-tech dudes with machine guns and swords.
I was confused. The Hand I remember did not have like armor on.
Well, because I remember we had read some of the stories with the Hand. I think some of it was in Daredevil. Yeah. And in here it's like high-tech ninja, but it didn't last very long. And as soon as Claremont leaves the book, no more baseball. The X-Men are what? They're playing basketball. The hell? X-Men didn't play basketball.
Yeah, but do you see?
I love it.
Must be the shoes, baby.
I mean, I don't know. The new coloration of Gambit really does it for him.
Really?
I don't know.
Let's see what the new colors look like.
The definition of those. Okay. Well placement of the smoke there to hide Omega Red's like
his Omega dong.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got here? You don't like pasty white Gambit. You like a little tan in your Gambit.
Well, and a little bit more definition of the abs is nice. And
I love the whole basketball scene. I'm all about it.
Yes, I do.
That was the best part of
the poses that Rogue does are pretty hilarious. When she's like jumping in the air with the ball. I'm like, who jumps in the air like that?
She's so good.
Rogue does. She's a Southern Belle. My life goal was to own the Jim Lee basketball pages. There's only one page I want from Jim Lee, and it's X-Men number 8, and you already know what that is.
Man, it is wild to me. It's like reading these like next 3 issues of this about Omega Red and about Wolverine and Sabretooth's like background and stuff. Reading it, the whole time I was like, oh, so this has definitely happened before. This is like, these are characters I should know.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, these are new people, baby. Besides Sabretooth. Like these are new guys.
Weapon X is always one of those things that makes you think, wait, do I know these guys? Who are these guys? Who the hell? Because everybody knows Wolverine. I remember when Cable showed up out of nowhere when I was a kid. And he's like, hey, what's up, Logan? And you're like, oh, shit, he knows Logan. I missed that issue. When did that take place? The editor spelled me. They didn't tell me where to find it. No, it wasn't. That was the cool thing. Everybody knew Logan. Everybody was part of the Weapon X project. It was you had to be part of the Weapon X projects to be one of the cool kids. So that's what was going on through this era. By the way, I think it's in this issue right here. It's the issue where Moira ends up leaving.
Yes, she has like some nightmares about her son.
I need to bring attention to that middle panel. This one here.
The crying one?
Yeah. So the fingernails, like that's how much detail he would add to his art. Like it looks like she had been biting them because she's having a nervous breakdown. Now, as a kid, I thought, my God, this guy's on another level.
Yeah.
How is somebody paying? I remember when like what's his name? Todd McFarlane. When Todd McFarlane was doing Spider-Man, like he would draw moles and warts on people, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. But this was like another level of art that I hadn't seen in comics at that time. It wasn't until much older that I started seeing it, in European comics and detailed stuff from overseas. But for like monthly Marvel comics, it wasn't anywhere. I was just blown away by that, because that's the first thing I noticed, that she had been biting on her fingers, which is just crazy. But I wanted to point that out. All right, so yes, he goes out on a date. Now, if you watched X-Men 97, this fine dress may be familiar looking.
It is, yes. I love it.
Dress that she wore in
so
X-Men 97.
But I love how everyone else is like, we're gonna go on the date with you.
Bunch of cock blockers. Gambit's like, yeah, all right, whatever.
He probably goes dating the
We're
Brady
gonna
Bunch.
lose them.
I love that. He's like, I didn't realize I was going to take out the Brady Bunch when I joined the X-Men. That's so good.
And they were like, we got to protect our girl. You are sleazy. Even though, she can protect herself. It's like, I don't know.
And even though he's part of the team and they know, like, they still like, no, we have to, this isn't going to happen. This is
so cute.
Yeah, I love
So
it, man.
cute.
That's so good. I never wanted to be Gambit so much in my life. I love Rogue. She's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, question for me. This is a newbie question.
Sure.
Who is Sean?
Yeah, who is Sean?
What's his deal? Why is he not? He can't talk. What's his deal?
What happened to his jaw?
Okay. So I'll find the exact panel, because I know what you're talking about, dude. I got these issues memorized, baby.
And they use
Sean is Banshee. Guy that can scream like Banshee.
Oh, Banshee.
So when the X-Men go and fight in the Asteroid M, Gambit breaks his jaw. See that right there?
Oh, because they were saying Banshee, but I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, so that's why in the next
that's
issue,
just a white guy.
That's just a random white guy. Yeah.
Yes, most people from Ireland are. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, but he just like there's something about him that was like stand out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He had an X-Men costume. He had those ridiculous wings on his side. He never really got to use. But that's what happened. He ended up getting his jaw broken by Gambit.
Oh, okay.
And that's why in issue number 4 that you're talking about, like, he can't talk. So Professor X has to do the internal connection between him and Moira. But him and Moira,
what a bummer too, because they had to be like, okay, I'm starting like a mental call between like the three of us, but like I'm still here though.
Yeah, I'm still here, but you guys have
don't mind me. You all do your thing. Right. I'm just gonna sit here and watch. So yeah, they have they have woken up Omega Red from his slumber after 30 years, and he wants nothing more than to get revenge for the people that put him there. And of course, Wolverine recognizes who he is. And
Arcady is his real name?
Arcady, I think.
Arcady? I don't know.
Arcady or something like that, yeah.
Arcady.
Banshee is a Nick's top 5 favorite X-Men. Are those 3 dudes in your top 5 favorite X-Men, my dude? Yeah, so Omega Red has this unique power. He can absorb energy and it restores his energy. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, one of my favorite scenes is like Psylocke. Hey, I was just doing laps in the pool.
That's what I'm talking about.
I got time to get ready right now. And Psylocke, put a jacket on, woman. We got to go out.
I understand why she was like in her first. I was like, why is she? Before I read the dialogue, I was, why is she in her bra and underwear?
It's so 90s. I just love that pose. I just like the like.
She's like, oh, by the way, I was in the pool and I saw something.
Yo, I love that she's, it's like I was like, put a jacket on, woman. We got a reputation.
I love that.
But what's funny is like she's in a bathing suit, but her actual costume, isn't too far off from that, right?
Just makes me
not
laugh.
like it's that far off from that. I do love.
You'd be a guy walking around in the X Mansion all the time with that, just going for a swim.
Colossus was like that. All he had was like the tidy, his tight underwear for a long time. Unless he turned to
metal, so it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and he looks better in metal too. Whenever it's like a jump scare, whenever it's just him, I'm like, oh,
he's so badass. Like when he's metal.
That. Yeah,
look at that. Oh, that's such a good. Every piece of near is so good.
But all of our people on our date are getting attacked by the hand, right? And
Yeah.
Omega.
Yeah, they're being attacked by the hand. They're being attacked by this new character named Omega Red. Now, we have reviewed Weapon X on Old Reader, New Reader, but it was about 5 years ago. But do you all recognize this guy?
Yeah.
Cornelius?
Yeah, so Cornelius was part of the Weapon X project, right? So when he showed up here, like Weapon X is one of those stories, kind of like, for a time at Marvel, it was kind of like Watchmen. Editors were like, you do not fuck around with Weapon X. You leave it alone. There's no sequels. There's no prequels. There's no going back. And then editors started going, Weapon X sold really well. Maybe we could tell more stories about some characters from Weapon X. And that's when Larry Hama did the Return to Weapon X storyline, the Shiva scenario, which took place between issues 3 and 4 of X-Men. That's why Wolverine at the very beginning was wearing his brown and gold costume. And now in these issues, he's got his blue and yellow costume.
Okay.
Because of the changes in issue number 50. Everything ties together, but yeah, Cornelius is back. He's working for Mitsuo because Mitsuo is like promising Omega Red that, we're going to find a cure. We're going to keep you alive. And at this time, there's also the Fenris twins that are part of the upstarts with people like Shinobi Shaw and Sienna Blaze and Graydon Creed. And what they do is they kill mutants to get points. That's what Fitzroy did. He went after the Hellfire Club and started killing characters. For a while, you thought Emma Frost was dead because you thought that the character of Fitzroy had killed her in the pages of Uncanny X-Men, but he did not succeed. So here, the upstarts had Fenris join. And the Fenris twins are very, very they're connected to the Marvel Universe because they're Baron Zemo's kids.
That's Strucker. That's why the name sounded so familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have the German accent, and although Andrea, though, she's looking all right.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. She might be a little racist, but
a little bit. Yeah, but clearly,
did you see her outfit though?
Yes,
she's not thick enough. That's the downside.
No, she's not thick enough. That's the problem.
She's still not early 90s comic books.
Good call.
She's still not like the other one.
She's got the boob window going for her. It's so ridiculous. Look at that outfit. Yeah. I love it.
The bob was just
okay. So Wolverine gets captured, and this is where Professor X is like, okay, we have Wolverine is captured. We need to go and get him back. Cyclops, I like your idea. We've got so many X-Men. Let's break up the teams. Blue team is going to go and get Wolverine. Gold team, led by Storm, is going to go and meet Emma Frost at this Hellfire Club dinner, which is the beginning of the Upstart storyline I was talking about, where Fitzroy comes from the future and starts killing a bunch of these Hellion characters, a bunch of kids. And then Bishop follows after him. So that's where we meet Bishop. So it's during this time. And, Banshee is like, well, don't, I'm just going to go and try to find Moira. And Forge is like, yeah, I'm just going to play chess with you, Professor X, if that's all good.
Yeah.
Storm looking fine.
Somewhere when this occurred, because
what's that?
Jean are dressed up
because they're sneaking to the Hellfire.
Yeah, they're going into the Hellfire
Club. Okay, so
it looks like they're both wearing
these
latex,
are the exact same dresses that they're wearing in Uncanny X-Men.
Those poses, man.
Dude,
Storm looks like, I don't know.
Dude, I'd have forgotten to make the bed if Storm came home looking like that, mad at me on purpose. I'd forget to make the bed or whatever makes her upset. Okay, so now they got to go and rescue Wolverine.
Yes.
So now you got Cyclops, you've got Jubilee, you've got who else is on the team? Gambit, Rogue, Psylocke, and Wolverine is. They're trying to get information out of Wolverine in a very weird and interesting way. He's having flashbacks of his days as a Weapon X member. So there's Graydon Creed, which becomes Sabretooth, of course, and there is a new character, Maverick, which makes his first appearance.
David North.
That's right. Hey, look at you. You did do some research. This is actually his first appearance, but because he's related to Wolverine and Weapon X, you immediately think, oh, wow, I missed something. He's always
that's why I had to look him up, because I was like, who's this guy, though? No, he just showed up in 1992. And I was like, in this.
Yeah,
In this. He just
he
showed
shows
up.
up like a boss, though, man. Look at that. He's like, Wolverine, you need to calm down, buddy.
Come with me. Yeah.
Come
I'm
with
gonna
me
get
if
that.
you want to live. That line
Yep.
was actually said through these pages. And somebody was like, I get that pop culture reference.
I mean, it makes sense because, you know, Terminator just came out.
Terminator had
Yeah,
come
exactly.
out the same year.
July
Yeah.
3rd, 1991.
Look at you doing extensive research.
I was
Wait.
born that day.
Yes, you remember.
We don't need to talk about that. Now we do need to talk about. So we had the setup because X-Men love playing the long game of Omega Red in the previous issues. Now we're having the setup of the return of Allison Blair and Longshot.
Yes.
That
Okay,
will
so
lead.
that's my other question because I don't know who
I got
they
you.
are. And they
I
were
got
just kind of there, but not directly related to anything happening right
looked
now. So I was
familiar
just
to me.
like,
Yeah, and then they're on Mojo's World for a little bit. I was like, what's
Oh, y'all too cute. Y'all too cute. Okay, so Allison Blair is Dazzler, and Longshot
Oh,
is. They were lovers, right? When the X-Men were living in Australia, they were together. And when the X-Men lost, and they lost big, they walked through the Siege Perilous. This all happened after Fall of the Mutants, and it happened when a lot of the characters were dying. Storm was thought to be dead. Rogue was thought to be dead. Longshot left. So the remaining mutants, some people will say, were manipulated by Psylocke to walk through the Siege Perilous. And the Siege Perilous is this magic portal that grants you a new life. You start over. You don't remember anything about your past, and you have a whole new identity. And so she doesn't remember being an X-Men. So she's there with Lila Cheney, and Lila Cheney is the intergalactic teleporter. She's also a rock star. Also appeared in X-Men 97.
okay, I remember her.
Yes, I remember her, yeah.
And Longshot is the warrior from Mojoverse, and he's coming looking for her. He remembers her, but she doesn't remember him. And then, of course, that continues. And that storyline does come back later on.
Okay.
This is really, oh man, there's so much fun stuff to talk about. I know it doesn't mean much to you all, but this is really cool. I don't think people realize how badass this is, but this is the first time we see Sabretooth looking like this.
Oh,
Sabretooth never looked like this. Sabretooth, like if you all remember Mutant Massacre, he was like a scrawny dude. Yeah, like long claws and this shaggy looking hair. But this time, like for the first time ever, we see Sabretooth looking like a dude, like a business dude, like a mafia boss, like looking all pimp and stuff. Like, what? That's not, I remember I was like, that can't be the same Sabretooth. Oh, dude. And then introduction of Birdie. Yeah, I don't know if y'all have ever played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 when Sabretooth calls her. It's like, Birdie! And she comes in with a gun. Anyway, video game.
I like her.
But it's pretty cool that, you know, a lot of the things that we take for granted were introduced through these very issues right here. And it wasn't that very many issues. Yeah, that is the best look for Sabretooth, in my opinion. I think he looks so badass. Like,
and he looks like the gangster.
And again, because one of the things that they do is like, let's tie these characters together. The cool kid on the block right now is Gambit. So Sabretooth's like, oh, Gambit, what are you doing fighting for the side of the Angels? Is this your new scam? And Gambit's like, you don't know me, man. And I
so
never
cute.
Forget a smell.
And he's like, oh, your blood's spicy. And he's like, must be my mom's gumbo. I was like,
yeah.
So cool. You're so cool.
Oh, it's so good. Am I wrong into thinking that Wolverine did remember who he was after the Siege Perilous and ending up in Madripoor? Wolverine never walked through the Siege Perilous. He was crucified. Remember that image from Deadpool and Wolverine? That image comes from that issue where he's crucified on top and he's watching the rest of the X-Men walk through there. Pretty cool. So yeah, Sabretooth gets involved because they're like, hey, we need somebody to go after this runt. So why don't we get this guy to go after him? And this is something that only a bunch of nerds would appreciate. But this image right here by Jim Lee of Sabretooth jumping has been copied over 3 times by 3 different artists. Because it's just so badass and everybody wanted to be Jim Lee.
Yeah.
Man, like one of them was Mark Pasella, the other one was Fabio Laguna. I can't remember the other guy that copied this exact image. The images of Psylocke have been copied over and over again. All right, I've talked a shit ton. Why don't you all take it from here? What happens? What happens with Wolverine? Did the X-Men break him out? What happens to poor old Omega Red?
What happens, poor Omega Red? Well, we find out that while Wolverine does not really remember, so basically he knows or he knows what happened to the C synthesizer, and that is the stuff that should help prolong Omega Red's life. But he doesn't have his memories or vaguely recollects things, especially as he's going through this. So they're trying to figure out where it is, and he does remember. And in the flashbacks, he talks about a woman named Janice that is it Sabretooth? No, Creed kills Creed.
Yeah, that's Sabretooth. Creed and Creed is.
Sabretooth kills her when they're escaping this operation they were doing. They're escaping. He ends up killing her. And when they escape, no one knows what happened to the synthesizer. And apparently, Logan buried it with her? Or is it inside of her? Is that?
Well, that's what he made them think. Remember? Because then at the very end,
he could find him like, gotcha. Well, he made him think that's where it was. And so then we have Psylocke, who we think is being controlled. Why is she always being controlled by people?
So badass. Because
Maxwell is the guy.
Yeah.
But also she's faking it. So it is like kind of she is being controlled a little bit by this guy. Not really. She has that connection.
Yes.
Yo, I mean, say what you will. This is obviously
it was very cool.
Wolverine, and it's a very Wolverine story. But Psylocke was so badass in here. Cool. Like, she was like, I'm double playing everybody. And
because she takes out Omega Red by making him think that he's like siphoning her powers, but he's not. So she's able to wound him, and at the same time, she's controlling Sabretooth.
Yeah,
until she gets knocked out. Which is all part of the plan. I love that when he's getting smart with Maverick. Maverick's like, "All right, man, like I need you to do this," and he's like, "Against my wish." I love that, and then of course she gets knocked out and loses control of Sabretooth. Yeah. But that's okay. The X-Men come to save the day. I actually really, really like this right here. This is, by the way, now Scott Lobdell is writing the dialogue. So John Byrne stayed for 2 issues. Jim Lee's still plotting the story, but it is now Scott Lobdell who'll become the new writer. And of course will become the ongoing writer on Uncanny X-Men, and also a movie called Happy Death Day, if y'all have seen that.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got my issues with Scott, but
Scott Summers or Scott Lobdell? I think a lot of people have issues with Scott Lobdell. I did not like his run.
I've always been a fan of his right. I don't like him.
You like his Red Hood and the Outlaws.
I do. I really like Red Hood and the Outlaws. I cannot support him financially in any way, but I will say I do like the writing and the dialogue. So it's one of those. Here's my asterisks. We'll buy the books used. Will say I don't like him.
I mean, I think there's also a reason why people don't work with him anymore. Although I don't know what's going on lately.
I don't know now, but I know enough of what happened.
I really don't know what's going on.
I don't want to be in a room with him alone.
He wasn't my favorite X-Men writer. I actually was not a fan of his writing. Starlog was okay. As a matter of fact, that's what I was going to point out. I love this. I love when Cyclops is joking around. He's like, "Hey, I believe you people have something that belongs to us." And, they start talking about Wolverine and Psylocke, and he's like, "Never mind, I see her," and just knocks the dude out. I love that Cyclops.
Well, that's pretty cool. The way it's put together, even with the bottom was so good, and like Jubilee in that panel looks so cute. Can we talk about how Jubilee is the cutest?
Oh, the way Jim Lee draws her. Absolutely. And their chemistry. So what are those bands around Summers? That's to keep his leggings up. Without those, all Doug. Yeah.
No. I thought it was like knives in.
That's not canonical.
Those bands are badass, man.
They're just garters. I mean, you don't know.
I think they're there to keep the blood, to keep his thighs looking big. You know what I mean?
Keep them perpetually
You can't look as thick as my boy Wolverine. So this is the part I was talking about when he makes it into the casket there. And man, and also the big something huge happens. Like Cornelius dies. He gets killed by Maverick.
Yeah.
He had it coming because this man comes they're like, "Hey, kill Wolverine." He's like, "But I'm a doctor. I could never." And I was like, "Sir, you have done violence and let murders happen everywhere."
Well, he did try to justify it earlier when they had him torn up. He's like, "But I did do this to him, so maybe this is this is giving him the comfort he needs if I kill him. I'm like, oh my God. Okay,
Yeah,
I
okay,
can't even right now with
okay.
you. Like,
Look,
justify it.
villains always justifying themselves. You all know
Do you
that.
think
Yes.
that maybe Wolverine was attacking Matsuo because he's trying because only one person can have that haircut? Because
I love that you said that because we would joke about that when we were kids. We're
I was
like,
like-
man, that dude looks like Wolverine.
and only one person can have that haircut.
Yeah, and then it just seemed like a lot of people had like the Wolverine
It's just
haircut.
it's like, come on, guys.
You can't pull. Not a lot of people can pull that off. More of Psylocke badassness right here with
Yeah,
her
she was
very,
great.
very suggestive posing. Very nice, very nice.
That's an impressive. I'm trying to figure out how your legs. Never mind.
I would let her try that on me several times until she gets it right, because I am that much of a fan. And absolutely,
clearly,
yeah, absolutely. Maddie's so white. I was like, sir.
Yeah.
And it ends. That's it. That is all 7 issues, and the next issue will be the one of my favorite issues, but I thought it wouldn't make sense to read it because you all didn't read The Coming of Bishop. So maybe when we read Bishop's Crossing, we can read that issue number 8. It's got one of my favorite scenes, and that's the one that introduces us to Gambit's wife when he's at a picnic with Rogue and they're having super sexy time, and she's like, he's like, that there's my wife. So he had some explaining to do, but also Bishop introduced to the team. He knows one of them is going to be the traitor and kill the rest of the X-Men, and his eyes are set on one particular X-Men. Oh God, I love this era. Okay, ladies, let's talk about the story. What did you all think of the first 7 issues of Adjectiveless X-Men? So there's 2 story arcs in here.
Yeah. I liked it. I had a good time, honestly. Like, I feel like this is probably like 90s on is probably what I'm starting to see is maybe it's the X-Men that I'm comfortable with, that I like.
Or used to, yeah.
Because prior to this, and this is just my personal reading habits as a newer, younger reader, I think earlier, before the 90s, there's a lot of just like explanation of things happening in comic books. And that's okay, because they're trying to get new readers. If you jump in an issue, I understand. It just is hard for me to read because I'm just like, obviously I know that this is what's happening. You don't have to write 5 paragraphs to tell me. And I feel like this is when we kind of like settle into like a rhythm that I am comfortable with the dialogue. So this really vibed with me, and because I am an X-Men cartoon fan, I was like, okay, I'm good here. This is the vibe.
This was the era of X-Men for you.
Yeah.
Like the way they looked in the cartoons is when you went to pick up the comic. It's the way they looked in the comic. What about you, Amanda? What did you think of the story?
So obviously, anytime when you have Magneto, the story, I think, resonated. That arc resonated with me a little bit more than the latter arc. And so I think the first arc I liked more than the second arc, because then the second arc became about Wolverine all over again. It's always about Wolverine, and he's always that central focus, something about his past. But no, my favorite part about the overall story is just, like Maddie said, the dialogue. It was, even with Chris Claremont stuff, which we've read earlier, Chris Claremont, and I didn't feel like it was like as quippy back then as this iteration was now. I felt like the repertoire between all of the different characters, when they're fighting or when they're getting ready to fight, there was so much great back and forth between the characters. You really could see everyone's distinct personalities, and I really love that. And it just reminded me, I kept thinking of the original X-Men, because I would have been, this is 92, right? So I would have been like
91.
So I would have been like 7 or 8, like I'd be going 7 or 8. So this is the time I would watch it before school, right? Started. So it reminded me of those characters. But I really liked I really did enjoy that first arc the most. The second arc was okay. There's just a lot going on. And I know that's because they're setting up a whole new story without Chris Claremont. So Omega Red may not be my favorite villain, but he was interesting to show some more backstory for Wolverine.
Yeah, it certainly didn't feel like a character that like was actually new.
Yeah, right.
You know what
Like
I
I
mean?
should have already known him. Like I was like, oh, he's come back. We should know him, but we didn't.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, I don't know who Omega Red
I
is.
still liked it, but the whole time I was like, it's just like reading a book that you and I are used to reading books that are like we don't know any of the context. So I just assumed.
So you thought that?
I was like,
he must have been there the whole time. I'll find out who Arcady is eventually. Or
this old guy Omega Red,
Yeah,
he's been asleep for 30 years. I didn't know him either.
But they do a good job of setting up relationships too. So I like that. Like not like necessarily like romantic, but all types of different relationships.
Oh yeah.
What did you all think of the
more Jubilee
artwork?
Loved it.
I like the art a lot.
10 out of 10 for me. I mean, even with because like, I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, why do they always draw women this way? Because I am that way, right? But it's like early 90s, so they all do that.
I mean, if you look at the dudes.
I mean,
yeah, let's not discriminate.
They did good with Gambit. They did good with Gambit.
Equally just as sexy.
Not equally, because the poses aren't ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They don't have Wolverine breaking his back to turn around while leaving his butt behind. You know what I mean?
Wolverine is like 5 foot.
Leave his butt behind.
Okay. So was ever all the other women. Let's be real. But I had a great time. Yeah. I like it. I think I love this type of art a lot.
I like all the facial features. Like I like the way like they react to things, and yeah.
And I like the recoloring a lot too. I mean, I like both, but I love the recoloring.
The recoloring is
recoloring tones down the Andrea's dress right there. Like it's hot pink in the original one. Not that it's distracting me from
So I was looking at like some other people's like opinions about the coloring, and I saw someone like say like with the older coloring that it didn't do Jim Lee's artwork enough justice because it was more like a crayon effect and it wasn't as dimensional. So, and I was like, I can see that actually, because like I said with like Gambit in the second coloration, you can see those abs, like you really see those abs, and you can see that with a lot of stuff too.
You were limited, right? Like you were limited to a certain amount of colors that you could use. I think Joe Rosas did an amazing. He's one of my favorite colorists of all time.
Yeah,
and I mean, even this scene that's supposed to take place like as a dream sequence, like almost like an astral plane.
Yeah,
looks a little bit different when you're looking at the new colors here, right? It definitely has that.
Yes.
Mark Silvestri is my favorite artist, but I'd still put Jim Lee over Andy. I love Andy Kubert, but I actually like Adam Kubert a little more, and probably Joe a little more than Andy. All right, was there let's see, was there another scene, anything else in particular? Oh wait, what did not work for you all? Was there anything that you didn't like?
Yeah, I think introduced some of the things he introduced in the second half.
Yeah,
I think probably could have been done better. Because as a reader, I shouldn't be like, "Oh, am I missing something?" And I can't articulate how I would do that better, but it just felt weird.
It felt also weird to have back-to-back 2 stories where people are being mind manipulated or controlled. Yeah, whether or not Psylocke actually was in control in the second half or not, it was like, oh, we're going with the same thing all over again. Did this happen in the first arc? Weren't they like being controlled? Like I was like, okay, there's other things that we could do here. So I was like, we're too soon. I felt like reusing the same kind of, powers or bad things happening to the X-Men, I guess.
Bad things always happen to the X-Men. That's the joke, right? Trouble always comes looking for the X-Men.
Unluckiest bunch.
I will say in this read through, and I've lost count how many times I've read these stories. Probably more than 20. Oh God, yeah, more than 20. I'll say this time around, looking at it, it does definitely feel different when Claremont is off the book. When Claremont is off the book, it's like fast. It's fast paced, which is usually a good thing, right? Like I think of writers like oh my gosh, who was Wheel of Time? Who's the Wheel of Time guy? Jordan was it
Jordan?
Brandon Sanderson took over the book, That was one of the things that happened, right? Like people were like complaining about Robert Jordan.
Yeah.
Robert Jordan. That was his name.
Yeah.
And thank you all for commenting. Robert Jordan. So, you know, he had a definite pace that he was following. And when Brandon Sanderson took over the books, it was like bam, bam, bam. Almost kind of like Game of Thrones, like, hey, we are done looking and like adapting that arc from the books. We're gonna do our own thing. And when we do our own thing, it's like bam, bam, bam. It kind of felt like that. Felt like, hey, we have this slow-paced story that really could have taken maybe, you know, 1 issue to do, but he brought it out to 3 issues and I loved it. And now we have this storyline about this character that's kind of, it's like Wolverine.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah,
you could have taken more time to it, like, because I think if you have a big bad villain who's new, who's been under the ice almost for 30 years.
Yeah.
If I was writing that, I would want to build up the suspense and like the scariness of the level of ability of that mutant, right?
Claremont would have, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think
he jumped right into it. He immediately went and attacked Logan. Immediately put everything.
And I think it says something when both of you were like, I thought this character was already established.
Yes.
Or I would have had Maverick already talk to him before in a different way to kind of set up like, hey, you don't remember me, right? And kind of like slowly build that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think that would have done a lot more justice. I think it would have made Omega Red a lot cooler. Because now he's no different than anybody else. Because within 3 issues, he's done for, right? Yeah. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So to me,
until he comes back.
And I'm sure he's really cool when he comes back. But like, it's not, he wasn't the cool part of this to me.
He's not one of my favorite Wolverine villains.
He's not the cool part of
He's just okay. Nothing against the Soviet Union at the time or Mother Russia.
And like, honestly, he was barely Russian except for being red.
Yeah, there wasn't much to him to denote that he's actually Russian.
His name and his
besides that,
his thick Russian accent.
Well, we only
that's
know
something we need to talk about.
Russian. Oh,
what did you all think of the dialect? So Claremont was known for that, like the way that Remy was written, the way that Rogue was written, the way that Sean was written. Obviously, there were huge differences in the way their dialogues were compared to somebody like Cyclops, even Wolverine, right? In the way that he writes, and not the big words that Beast would use, but like the dialect, like the accents they would have, some of the things they would say, like Saints preserves Saints preserve us, like things like that these characters would say. What did you all think about that?
Oh, I like when he does that because it does give the characters their own unique personalities.
And what about you, Maddie? Was it easy
I
to
didn't
read?
notice until you brought it up, but yeah, there is a significant difference.
I'm still trying to figure out what Moira is supposed to be because when I would read her,
She's
like
Scottish.
She's Scottish. I was like, maybe I just don't know how to speak Scottish because I'm trying to think.
Well, it's not Scottish. It's the way that it's the way that Claremont writes it.
Okay.
She says like Dinakin and like all that.
Yeah.
Right?
I was like, okay.
They're not necessarily spelled that way. It's just a dialect. It's written that way. And for the same reason, when I was younger, I was like, half the goddamn things fucking Gambit says, I'm like, what is he talking about? Like I was so
get a Southern dictionary.
Man, he is so smooth. I don't know what the hell he's saying half the time, but he's that smooth. So
well, no wonder all the ladies love him. Okay.
Because they can't understand a goddamn thing, so they can't argue with it. But yeah, they're very, dialogue heavy characters that have these strong dialects, like Rogan, her instead of I, right? Like she says AH throughout the whole thing. And that was adorable. Easy to follow than Gambit's.
Which is why Channing Tatum was so great at that.
No, he was not. No, he was not.
No one could understand a word.
I mean, his accent was on point, though. I mean,
his accent was not on point. Okay, maybe if it was supposed to be a joke.
They asked people that are like in the bayou, and they were like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it."
Yeah,
I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
Yeah.
If he's hot, he's hot.
That's not what the hell, Tina. How are you going to chime in with that?
Yeah, everyone is saying it. Everyone gets it. Omar, everyone.
We don't need to be able to talk, Omar.
Look how manly Magneto is in that picture.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah.
rugged. That's.
I mean, if Ian McKellen wasn't Magneto in the originals, you would have probably thought he was really hot. But Ian McKellen in the original,
yeah, Ian McKellen is a different hotness of Magneto.
yeah, not my cup of tea, but
Not
maybe Michael Fassbender when he starts getting the.
He reminds me of Rutger Haggard. What the hell is that guy's name? He's a big actor in the '80s who played a lot of villains.
I think I know what you're talking about, maybe.
Looks just like that. Why did I walk
His eyebrows are strong.
That's
right.
Agent speakers. I know I should ask this on Saturday, but can you explain the timeline of Green Lantern? The New 52 happens. Nothing really changes with the Green Lantern stuff. That's one of the few things that gets changed because Jeff Johns is still writing Green Lantern. Gavin needs to learn to lean than more lean than Magic Mike. Not Vincent Price.
Something I do really appreciate about Jim Lee's art, because we do a lot of really wide dudes, but there is a variety of body type throughout the art that I think is really impressive.
All these dudes are on the Bowflex, man. Look at that.
But some of them do, and they all look the same, but there is a difference between body types. So Gambit does look different than Scott, and and a lot of people don't have that ability. They draw one type of dude.
You mean
it's been my biggest thing about DC, because I'm Batman works his muscles differently. You shouldn't look like this. Flash, people should think about how you use your body and how that would reflect and you're illustrated. A lot of them don't think about that.
That's a wonderful point. I see that, and I notice it when I'm looking at, there's this in-house art that Marvel and DC does nowadays, where they try to get the people that have a very similar style to come and draw the same type of family books, whether it's the Bat family, whether it's the X family. And I feel like you're missing somebody. But then again, it's so hard to compare anybody to someone like Jim Lee.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I am curious though, who are some of your all's favorite artists? Who do you think is who is your holy crap, this art?
Well, I just remember when
is amazing.
Russ Dodderman's work.
Russell Dodderman's solid.
Yeah, that was to me some of the best I've ever seen. That's why I have it hanging up on my walls in there.
Omar, Jim Lee's X-Men or Jim Lee's Batman? Oh, dude, Jim Lee's X-Men. I love Hush, and maybe we should do Hush sometime soon.
Yeah, I would love it.
Holy crap, Jim Lee's X-Men. That was my childhood. I mean, that was being alive at that time and freaking the fuck out because I didn't think I was going to get a copy of X-Men #1. It was just insane. And especially when, how you've been to conventions, brother, that the X-Men #1 was everywhere for a quarter. You couldn't even give it away. But at the time, it was the best thing ever. The best thing ever. It just did not get better. Life was perfect.
Yeah.
So as far as artists, Dan Moore is always I'll read anything Dan Moore has art for. But I think Joel Jones and Jamal Campbell, off the top of my head, are my kind of
yes.
If Jamal's on it, I know I'm gonna get hands. And same with Joel. I
really like Joel. And it really depends on the type of story too. Sometimes.
Yeah.
That was a good question, Alfred. I really like that question. It's hard because Batman's solid. His Batman is solid, and I was curious what kind of art style you both gravitated towards. Because I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, so this kind of art style was, oh my God, for me, it was just the best thing ever. It didn't get better than this.
What's that hyper realism? I do think I like that aspect.
Man, and just the attention to detail, the cross hatching, the panel layouts, the composition. Guy was on all kinds, a different type of level. Not to say that I don't like any of the new artists. I really do love Joelle Jones, despite of all the accusations about her.
Well, that that downside.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I said about that.
But hey,
I also don't know how hard it is to keep up a monthly schedule. Yeah. And this was a tactic that a lot of artists used back in the 70s. They never got called out for it because there was no internet. I think Greg Land is the most Yeah, I would say the
Well, and then we have
most
writers
infamous
using ghost writers every once in a while. And that's kind of just part of it.
one. Jim Lee's contribution to X-Men.
You know what? I will if we're gonna give Lobdell a pass for being allegedly a sexual harasser.
Oh, I don't know what he did. I just know that I was going to interview him, and one of my viewers wrote me an email and was like, "Hey, man, I know that, but maybe you shouldn't," because I was like, "Okay, okay." Jim Lee's contribution to X-Men is overrated. Dude didn't even have that much longevity with it. Silvestri and Kubert's for the win. I gotta go with Silvestri, but you can't deny the fact Jim Lee's X-Men is the animated series. So it impacted that. Every toy, every lunchbox, every Pizza Hut had Jim Lee's costumes on there. There is no, I love Silvestri. He's my favorite artist of all time. But ain't nobody rushing out to Pizza Hut to get like a Pizza Hut box with Silvestri's Wolverine on it. Everybody was just in it because of these costumes.
Love.
Kubert stayed for a while. Jim Lee was what, 268? He stayed for about 3 years, right? And then, 3 years. But I do see what you're saying. They stayed longer. Byrne, though, you can't deny Byrne didn't have a long effect on the characters like Cockrum. Russell Dodderman is the best costume designer in superhero comics. Yeah. Oh, dude.
We love Dodderman in this house.
We are blessed to have him doing internal artwork. If y'all have not been reading Scarlet Witch by Steve Orlando, you're missing out. That's some good comics right there with some beautiful artwork. And Russell Dodderman is one of the few comics he still does from time to time. Jim Lee's Claremont X-Men issues are the apex on comics for me. Byrne was the first comic artist I already told this story about Byrne and Savage Land Storm. That changed my life. 256, but not as an ongoing. I think officially as an ongoing artist, he started with 260. I want to say, because I love the issue 268, but I think officially it was like 267 maybe that he started as the ongoing artist, because he did those Acts of Vengeance, and then the editors were like, "Oh, we got to get him on covers," and then we were like, "We got to get him on the ongoing series." 268 was a revelation to me. Oh, dude, it was so good. Also, don't like that what went down between. Oh yeah, I love Claremont. I've interviewed and talked to him about these things, but here's the thing, brother. Like, Claremont he immediately forgave Jim Lee. It wasn't his fault, right? Editors had to go with where the money was, and the money was on Jim Lee. He water under the bridge, because within a year and a half he was writing issues of Wildcats. He was writing the Huntsman issues. So yeah. 216. Hugh Lee is awesome.
Oh, so
Ross.
good.
Alex Ross that's another guy we're blessed to have. Alex Ross. So my favorite artist doesn't get mentioned enough. John Tolman. Yeah, I like that guy too. His first was 248. Yeah, that's the big issue with Storm, right? Oh, Joe's a big John Byrne guy. John Byrne, probably, top 3 X-Men artists. Oh, that's hard. My favorite X-Men artist. Oh, shit, because Silvestri Lee. Oh man, that's hard, because Paul Smith, Dave Cockrum. Say, who do you put? That's a good one. I don't know. How do you? Maybe I can do a Mount Rushmore of X-Men artists. John Bold on those X-Men classic stories. Absolutely, the covers and the back. Adam Kubert and Andy Kubert, and let's not forget Arthur Adams too. Oh, dude, that's hard. Well, we'll wait till Amanda gets back, but I'm curious what
can you hear me though? It's my camera just keeps freezing.
Okay.
I'm fine. It's just my camera keeps freezing on StreamYard for some reason.
Let's
I'm here.
Okay, I didn't know.
In 30 minutes, Critical Role is doing a Suikoden.
Oh God.
Oh, nice.
Role play. So
I gotta watch Daredevil too. So we got.
Wait, Daredevil's out. The episode 3
at 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Damn. If only I had a co-host to remind me of that stuff.
I just did. See, and look, I'm still stuck. You can hear me.
Your face is so disappointed. Okay.
I am disappointed.
Wonder Maddie, give me your rating. 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. What would you give this out of 10? And anybody that has read Mutant Genesis, what would you all give this out of 10?
I'm giving it a 7.
You know what? I'll take it.
I really liked it. Honestly, I really liked it. I had a really good time with it.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Excellent.
There we go.
Panda, what would you give this
Ooh.
out of 10?
Overall,
Mhm.
I think I'm good with a 7 out of 10.
7 out of God damn it, too. Okay. One day I'll win you
I'm
all
thinking
over.
maybe a 7.5 out of 10. But Jeremy gave it a 7 out of 10.
That's okay. I don't know Jeremy. I've been to Jeremy's house.
Jones, he gave it a 7.5.
I've been to both of y'all's parties. All right. It's not a 10 out of 10. For me, there are 10 out of 10 expense stories.
Was that Dark Phoenix?
Up there. I want to say this is actually, I gotta go with 9 out of 10. This was good, man. Like that, the dialogue, everything. Like Claremont was winning all sorts of awards. It's almost like he was getting paid for each word that he was writing. I loved it. The artwork, the attention to detail. Yeah. But Jeremy knows me. Now that just got really interesting. I love it. I'm going to go to the chat really quick and see what they think about the story. 7.5, 9 out of 10. The infamous Jeremy with his 7 out of 10, bringing that madness into this. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. 1 and 3 are time. They are, right? Like they really are. There were better stories. Absolutely. Agreed with that. There were. So you like this better than Days of Future Past, huh, man?
Yes.
What the?
No.
What did you give Days?
We weren't on that one. What did you rate
Days of Future Past? What did you do?
Well, I don't remember what I gave Days of Future Past.
Tina, do you remember what you
Oh
gave?
yeah, no, I do like this more, I think, actually.
Tina, call her out. Call her out, Tina. 9.5 out of 10. Philip, how you doing, brother? 12 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Genosha was good. Extinction Agenda was good, man. 8 out of 10 from Tina. 9.5, 9.5, and a 9 out of 10. So you said you like Days of Future Past more, or you like this more?
I like this more.
What was Tina upset?
Yeah, Tina.
Oh, I gave it a 6.
She gave it a
Days
6.
of Future Past. I gave this
You
a
were
7.
both give it a 5, apparently.
I really liked this.
She gave it a 5 and then pushed to a 6. What made you push it to a 6?
I don't remember.
Wait, why do you need pushing for Days of Future Past? There's only 2 issues. If Days of Future Past were written today, it'd be a 35 issue.
See, I can't get away with anything. I really enjoyed this. Can't we just be happy?
You know what?
Yes. Let's
You
be
know
happy
what?
Maddie enjoyed it. That's fine.
You know, you're right. Let's honor that. Now, Tina, here's the thing.
Honor it.
Days of Future Past did not have that. Did not have that panel right there. That's what happened.
Psylocke?
And there wasn't any basketball.
No, I'm talking about Omega Red. Yes, I'm talking about Psylocke. Amanda, keep up.
I don't know.
Maybe paid attention to Omega Red.
You like his triceps? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I was looking. Anyway, that's why she gave this a 7 out of 10. Maddie will be out of the country next week, so I may take over for 1 week and do an old reader, new reader. I'll see if Amanda or Melanie wants to join me.
Yeah. If I'm up at midnight, I'll hang out.
You are crazy. Thigh lock. Oh, I like that, Mr. Kyle.
If they're in Scotland, hit me up.
Oh yeah, if you're in Scotland, find Maddie somewhere out in the streets.
But like, tell me, you don't just like creep. That's scary.
I'm not doxing you, as the kids call it. Is that what the kids call it? Doxing?
That is what they call
That's
it.
what everyone calls it.
Look, man, I'm like Magneto in this goddamn story when I don't understand half the things these people are saying. What's a flat scan? I don't understand your gibberish. I'm old school.
Understand flat scan. Like, what is that?
Oh, flat scan? She actually explains it, doesn't she?
Does she?
Magneto?
I don't remember.
In the first issue, because he was like, flat scan? The hell you youngins talking about? And she's like, it's because we're making fun of their genetic coding. It doesn't go up or down like our genetic coding or something.
Oh, that's okay.
Right. That's what they're calling humans. So that's what she was.
Whoa, Tina, I never said I didn't like Claremont.
Had issues with Destiny.
I love that man.
There was a scene with sleeping gas. So many complaints she had.
I don't remember anything. To be honest.
They're calling you out. Did we lose Amanda completely? I think we lost Amanda completely.
Yeah.
All right. Then go see your Sequoian. Amanda, can you hear us? Amanda, you better get this goddamn camera fixed by tomorrow's show. The Jim Lee era changed X-Men forever. Says Eric, who has an avatar of Jim Lee's Rogue as his avatar.
Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
What was that?
That's my kid. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us. If you're catching us later, let us know your thoughts about Mutant Genesis and any recommendations for the rest of the year. What you'd like us to read. Check out the Patreon. Patreon voted for this for March.
Yes,
That's right.
yes, I love it.
It's-
Thank you so much. Really quick, let me answer this. How do I feel about Marvel cramming Miss Marvel down our throats? You're talking about so apparently there's a crossover where it's like a starting with Giant Size, putting Miss Marvel in classic storylines like Age of Apocalypse. It doesn't matter to me, man. It doesn't change how I love the original stories. And sure, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
Miss Marvel.
I don't know if they're cramming, or her series got canceled, didn't it? Or no, NYX got canceled, which I was actually kind of digging a little bit there towards the issue 5. Read Acts of Vengeance. That's the Psylocke issues. That's right. I recommend
Real quick.
watch.
We
A
have
lot more than a week. Go ahead.
we did the last Ronin, but we haven't read the rest of TMNT. But I would be down.
Yo,
to
those
do
first 3
that.
volumes of TMNT are so good.
So maybe I'll do that next month.
Strongly suggested. Well, you got several co-hosts that can join you that I know would love to read that for the first
Well,
time.
and Elliot would like to join too. He read Last Ronin with me.
Oh, did he? Yeah, Les Ronin's solid. G.I. Joe. The new G.I. Joe series with Lynx is awesome,
Joe.
Tina. Mouse Guard is good. So many good
Mouse Guard.
comics.
Oh yeah.
Comics.
Oh, I'd love to talk Runaways, Alfred. Oh yeah.
I have a funny
All right.
story about Runaways, but I'll save it for another day.
I've got to run away and watch Chewy Code and stuff because
You are crazy. I gotta go.
we are living after 15, 20 years of nothing. We have everything. Everything. So,
No Sequin 3, 4, 5 remake, yo.
it's fine. We have a new canon game. It's fine.
All right. Sign us out then, Maddie.
Basically did. Anyway, see you guys. Come back here tomorrow for Reels Talk.
Yes.
You will see me,
Yes.
if not next week, in Scotland the week after. So I'll be back here. I'll be a little jet lagged, but I'll be here. No.
No, she signs off.
Anyways, see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.